you've all probably heard about the London attacks at this point. There are 7 dead people, and there are 48 injured at last count. What happened is 3 men in a rented van crashed the van into a bar and then jumped out and started stabbing people. It didn't go on for particularly long because the cops showed up apparently within 10 to 15 minutes and shot all 3 of them in what the media is saying an unprecedented number of shots. They apparently fired over 50 bullets into them because it looked like the 3 men were wearing suicide vests. Now, this is more or less just following every pattern we've fucking seen about these attacks, where they show up with almost the express intention of dying. Because the suicide vests weren't real. They were fake. They were hoaxes. They don't do anything. Now, of course, some people in the media are reporting that, well, they were there maybe to keep the cops away. It's not to keep the cops away. The cops are going to shoot them. You have a suicide vest on, you are getting shot because they're not letting you trigger it. And I don't think the terrorists are sophisticated enough technologically to make one that is rigged up to their heartbeat. So I don't think they have a dead man switch on it, unless they're holding it. This is ridiculous. This is fucking insane. This is the 3rd attack in 3 months in Britain, and it doesn't feel like they're doing anything. It honestly doesn't feel like they're doing a goddamn thing. However, it's not entirely true. They finally, it seems as if they're getting their head out of their fucking ass. Theresa May has gone out and said that, and I quote, "Everybody needs to go about their lives as they normally would." Yep, that stiff upper lip. That's worked so damn well so far. But thankfully there's an addendum to this. Our society should continue to function in accordance with our values, but when it comes to taking on extremism and terrorism, things need to change. So thank God for that. She's also said there's far too much tolerism of extremism in their country, and that they need to have a long and what could be considered awkward conversation. I don't think it's particularly awkward because, well, there's plenty of Muslims that apparently want to have the conversation. One of which is named Nazir Afzal. I think I'm saying that right. He is the UK's most prominent Muslim lawyers, and he says there is an industry of Muslim groups who are focused on spreading deliberate misinformation about Britain's prevent strategy. Nazir Afzal, a former chief crown prosecutor, condemned self-appointed community leaders whose sole agenda was to present Muslims as victims and not as those who are potentially becoming radicals. So Nazir, my dude, thank you. Thank you for bringing that one out. This shit needs to get talked about. And we don't need to pull a Sadiq Khan, who is saying the capital has remained the safest global city and would not be counted by terrorism. Yeah, fucking safest. Yeah, that's real great there, buddy. I don't believe you at all, because that's fucking ridiculous. You are just full of shit. ISIS has, of course, claimed responsibility, but then again, ISIS claims responsibility for pretty much everything. And frankly, it's how they work. They honestly just spread the information and let nature take its course. I'm becoming increasingly convinced that these attackers are honestly suicidal. I actually believe that they are just suicidal because they keep a bunch of witnesses have come forward saying that, oh, these guys lived here for 2-3 years, they have wives and kids, and up until this point they've been fairly normal, sociable in the usual sense, fairly decent people, and then suddenly just everything just seems to go to shit. So I don't know. I don't know how the fuck we can just keep doing this. Because you can't. This is ridiculous. Britain, do something. Okay? I don't know what. I'm not from Britain. I don't know what your options are, but this is ridiculous. I don't really know what else to say. How can this keep going? The problem is that it's how can you just keep going on like this when you could be worried that at any second some jackass in a fucking van is going to come barreling down the sidewalk and murder half a dozen people or more just because he wants to commit suicide and doesn't want to go to what he believes is hell. This is madness. This conversation has to happen. You can't sit here and just keep the stiff upper lip. Because you want to know why that worked during the Blitz? It's because you were punching back. That's how that worked. You didn't sit there and just let the Nazis walk all over you. You shot back. You attacked them. You hit them with everything you had. The stiff upper lip was to make sure you wouldn't be cowed while you hit back. And at this point, you're not hitting back. You're not counter-punching. You're just standing there being a damn punching bag. This has to stop. This has to stop. You have to have the conversation. You have to sit down and actually look at this shit. There are moderate Muslims that are all about having this conversation. They are all for getting up and having this talk. Just let them talk.